So hello everyone once again. Welcome to my live session today. I'm Navya Sikka, a licensed immigration advisor working with AJV Global, which as most of you would be knowing already is an education and migration consultancy. And today I'm here to talk about what are the ways in which you can take your partner or your spouse along to New Zealand. What are the requirements that need to be fulfilled in order to obtain a partnership visa? And I will also be touching upon what the status is at present for partnership applications in the context of the border closure, which I am aware a lot of you are curious about. So now, before I begin the session for today, I would like to follow protocol by showing you on my license card. So that's my license card, which has been issued to me by the Immigration Advisors Authority. And this license essentially allows me to provide immigration advice to everyone viewing the session today. And it also holds me equally accountable for the advice that I do provide. Now, I understand that once I begin the session, a lot of you may have several queries that you would want answered during the course of the session. So I will definitely endeavor to answer all of your questions. However, my only ask of you is to mention your contact number along with your questions so that we can connect with you post the session as well and talk to you in a little more detail. So if you do want your questions answered, please do leave your contact details if, of course, you're not already an AGV client. And if you are an AGV client, then do let us know that so that I can extract more information specific to your case from my team as well. All right. So without further ado, let's talk about what exactly the purpose of having in place a partnership visa category is. The answer to that now is pretty obvious. The goal is essentially to help partners of New Zealand citizens, residents, and even temporary visa holders to join their family in New Zealand. Therefore, if you are a resident visa holder, a work visa holder, or even a student visa holder, you are likely to be able to invite into New Zealand your partners as well, provided you meet instructions for that specific category, of course. Now, it's also important to note here that there are a number of factors set into place that help to determine whether a partner would be eligible for a visitor visa only or for a work visa. For example, in the case of partners of students, the partners would only be eligible for a work visa if the student is studying a level 9 or 10 qualification or has a student visa to study a level 7 or 8 qualification that falls under the long-term skill shortage list. Therefore, if a student studies a level 7 or 8 qualification that does not fall under the LTSSL or pursues a qualification which is at a lower level than 7 or 8, then they may only be eligible for a visitor visa, which means that the partner will not be given rights to work in New Zealand. Similarly, if the primary applicant is on an essential skills work visa and is earning below the median wage, they may only be able to call their partner in on a visitor visa and not a work visa. Now, understanding these policies is extremely important from the get-go, or else you might end up selecting a course or maybe even accepting a job offer, which may not allow you to, have your partner enter into the country along with you. This is exactly why we encourage clients to engage with us for partnership applications from the outset so that we can inculcate in you the awareness about such policies. Now, what exactly is the definition of a partner as per immigration terminology? It's basically someone who you're legally married to or are in a civil union with, or lastly, someone who you are in a de facto relationship with, which means that you have been living together in a relationship. Now, this is just a broad definition that I'm giving to all of you. There are, of course, several intricacies to the above criteria as well. For example, the couple should be 18 years of age or above. They should have met prior to the application being lodged. They should not be close relatives, etc. And these policies also are further bifurcated and explained comprehensively. Now, in a student visa, what does the immigration officer really look at? They look at factors such as your previous qualification and experience, whether the course that you're planning to pursue is relevant to that. If not, then what is the justification of pursuing that course? What do you anticipate your future career outcomes would be from that, etc. And for a work visa, they look at whether you're suitably qualified for the role or not that has been offered to you, whether you have the necessary skill set to perform that role, and if your work experience is credible. They also look at various aspects of the employer, such as whether the employer is financially sustainable and whether they're compliant with employment law, etc. So how exactly does Immigration New Zealand assess partnership applications, and what is it that they really focus on? Now, in order to qualify for a partnership visa, you need to meet what is commonly referred to as the fourfold test. The immigration officer needs to be satisfied that you meet all four of the requirements of number one, credibility, number two, stability, number three, living together, and number four, a genuine partnership. Now, the first element, which is credibility, implies that the couple should basically be credible in any of the statements that they make. By genuine partnership, INZ implies that the couple's intent for getting married or getting into that relationship should be genuine, and they should intend to maintain a long-term partnership as well. So simply getting married for the purposes of getting a visa is not going to fit the bill, because INZ is going to focus on the intent behind the inception of this relationship, and it doesn't take too long for them to understand whether a partnership is truly genuine or not. It would probably take just about a 10-minute interview call for them to establish whether the couple are actually in a relationship, in a genuine relationship, and whether their claims are indeed credible. If the couple gives completely different answers to the questions asked during an interview, then that's a dead giveaway that the relationship is unlikely to be genuine. But on the flip side, a relationship may be equally open to scrutiny if you provide exactly the same answers. So you need to understand that immigration officers have been trained to sort the wheat from the chaff, and that even minute things may not go past their observation. Another important element, which is stability, basically means that the couple should be able to, through their documentation, show that their relationship is likely to endure. And lastly, the fourth element, which is a living together requirement, is also crucial criteria which must be met, wherein you do need to demonstrate that you have been living at the same residential address for a sufficient amount of time. Now, you might wonder, how does one go about proving that they meet each of these four elements? Now, that's where we as licensed immigration advisors come into the picture, as we are well equipped to guide you on the exact documentation that would be required in order to demonstrate that you meet the criteria as listed by the Immigration Department. Documentation is the primary way to substantiate a claim or to prove that you meet a certain policy. Simply making a claim that you are in a genuine and stable relationship is not going to suffice at all. Even if you've been in a 10-year-long relationship, but you don't have sufficient documentary evidence to complement that, then your application is likely to be declined. So as licensed immigration advisors, we will be discussing your case with you, completing an eligibility assessment, gauging the kind of documentation that you have or that you don't have, and accordingly, we will be suggesting the next course of action. Now, in a case where you've been married, say for 7 years, however, you've taken several houses on rent and never really bothered to get a rental agreement, how do you go about proving that you live together? Once again, as LIs, we will be guiding you on that and presenting before you enough alternatives to ensure that your application has substantial documentary evidence as a whole, even if you are missing certain documents. You might also wonder, how do you demonstrate living together or the stability of a relationship if you've been living in separate countries for more than a year? The same answer to that: come to us and we will be able to give you the best possible answers and solutions to any of your queries. As licensed immigration advisors, it is also in fact our responsibility to tell clients if at any point we feel that their case is a futile immigration matter, or in other words, that there is zero chances of approval. So you can be assured that when you do come to us, you will be getting honest and accurate advice and guidance on your applications from us. Now, because these discussions and the collection and review of documentation can be a very time-consuming process, that is exactly why we encourage our clients to start working on the partnership applications at an earlier stage and not leave it for the last minute. A lot of people, in fact, seem to have a misconception that there isn't much to a partnership application. However, that is absolutely untrue. The checks, the verifications, the documentation even are as extensive as they are in any other visa category, if not more. So if you do intend on traveling with your partners to New Zealand, please speak to us now itself. For students who are planning to study in New Zealand for the July intake, now would be the right time to start working on the partnership applications as well, so that we can lodge all of your applications together. This would also be an opportune time for me to mention that we do have a 100% approval rate for our partnership applications, which in itself is a testimony to the excellent work done by our team in this space. Now, a lot of the licensed immigration advisors at AJB also happen to be ex-immigration officers from the New Zealand High Commission, myself included, and therefore we are very well versed with immigration instructions and policies and the kind of documentation needed in the application that is likely to elicit a positive outcome. Now let's talk about what the situation is at present in New Zealand in the context of the border closure, because I know there are a lot of you who have questions around this. So as most of you would be aware, the borders of New Zealand have been closed to most people, with a few exceptions, and the list of people who can be considered as an exception has been expanding slowly. This is understandable, of course, given that the country wants to make sure that they do not put at risk the health of everyone who is residing within the country presently. So, as of now, if you are a partner or a dependent child of a New Zealand citizen or resident, and your visa is based on this relationship, then you can travel to New Zealand without requesting to travel. All right. Apart from that, people who can submit a request to travel to New Zealand, which is likely to get approved, are number one, an Australian citizen or permanent resident who is in a genuine and stable relationship with a New Zealand citizen or resident, and of course, including any dependent children. Number two, partners of New Zealand citizens or residents who are from visa waiver countries, and of course, can include in that any dependent children. Number three, family members of New Zealand citizens or residents who do not hold a relationship based visa. They can also request for travel provided either they normally reside in New Zealand or they will be accompanied by their New Zealand citizen or resident family member. Now, the last one, and this is what most of you have a lot of queries about, is the allowance for partners and dependent children of students or work visa holders. Now, for people who belong to this category, you can apply for a request to travel if you have a partner or parent who currently lives in New Zealand and who holds a valid student or work visa, plus you must already hold a work, visitor, or student visa and normally live in New Zealand. All right. Now, this is the part of the instructions that most of you are unable to meet at this stage. So basically, people who were issued a visa before COVID and were never able to travel to New Zealand in the first place, you will actually not be included in this list of exceptions. This is only for partners who were normally residing in the country, had come out of the country for whatever reason, and then got stuck outside of New Zealand due to the closure of the borders. So the other partners, I would request you to just wait it out. I understand that the period of separation from your family can be very difficult. However, at this point, there is not much that we can do apart from just waiting for the next set of instructions to come out. A lot of the partners who also want to know if they can apply for exceptions on humanitarian grounds, in fact. So I just thought I'll address that as well. While there is nothing stopping you from doing so, please note that it's not so simple to obtain an approval on humanitarian grounds. INZ will be evaluating aspects such as your connection to New Zealand, whether it's the country that you reside in normally, what are the other possible options available to you, and the impact of not allowing you to travel. And of course, all of this will need to be supported with sufficient documentation. All right. So if you believe you meet any of the above criteria for an exception to travel, please approach us and we will be happy to assist. While there has been a temporary suspension on the lodgement and the processing of most temporary visa applications, the processing and lodgement of relationship-based visas for partner and dependent children of New Zealand citizens and residents is still ongoing. Therefore, if you need assistance on that, then please do connect with us. The suspension on the other categories is till 10th November, I think, after which we will be able to provide you with further updates as and when we receive them. So now just to summarize everything I stated as a whole, those of you who are planning to go to New Zealand with your families or would now at this point like to join your families, please speak to us and you will be connected to a licensed immigration advisor. You can also book consultations with any of the licensed advisors through our website, and with that you will get one-on-one time with an LIA who will go through your profile extensively and discuss the next course of action with you. Reiterating here that the criteria for a partnership application is as complex as any other visa category, which is why it is essential to work on it as well in a timely manner. All right, so that's it from my end for the time being, and I'm going to now just quickly see if there are any questions coming in and address those. All right, so we do have some people in. So we have a message from Vinayak who has said, hi. Hi, Vinayak. It's great that you've joined today's live session. Do let me know if you have any queries and I'll be happy to answer them. Let me just see if my team has messaged me about anything. Okay. All right, we have someone joining in the session, Vijay, Vijay, who said the age for student visa. So Vijay, there is actually no age limit for student visas, which is great. New Zealand really appreciates and values the fact that you can pursue your education at any age. So there is no restriction to that. There is no restriction set by Immigration New Zealand, nor is there any restriction set by the colleges when you're applying to them for admissions. All right, so that's a huge benefit to a lot of people who decide to actually pursue their post graduation or masters at a much later stage in their lives. We in fact have sent students into New Zealand who are as old as 50 or as young as 50, and it's never been an issue. So it really doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you have a genuine interest and keenness to study. We will be happy to help you. So if you are interested in looking at the study and settle pathway, we would be more than happy to help. You have mentioned that you're 39, which is great. That's not old at all. So please do drop us your contact details so that we can connect with you and tell you a little bit more about the study and settle pathway. Thank you. All right. Okay, so we have the next question is how much funds do we need for partner? And guys, this is just a reminder, please do leave your contact details in the message box as well, because otherwise it's kind of pointless and we will not be able to take this conversation any further. Of course, I'm here answering certain queries, but I won't be able to answer them in a lot of detail. So it is essential for you to leave your contact details too. So we have a query from Jakpal Singh, who's written, how much funds do we need for partner and 5-year child if student is in level 7 course? Jakpal, so primarily you will be required to show the living expenses, which could amount to about 4,200 New Zealand dollars each. If you do have a partner who is studying a level 7 course and it doesn't fall under the LTSSL, then you may not be eligible for a work visa. But you might be once your partner is kind of graduating onto a post-study work visa. So if that is the situation for you, I would definitely recommend you leave your contact details so we can get in touch with you and assist you further, around what are the requirements of a partner independent child application. Thank you. All right, we have a question. So Jakpal has sent in his number very kindly. Thank you so much, Jakpal. We will most definitely get in touch with you. All right, we have a message from Ravish, who said, thank you so much for the information. Ravish, you're most welcome. Riddhi has written, any possibility for the Feb 2021 intake? Riddhi, as of now, there is still no news on whether or not the Feb 2021 intake is happening. It seems likely that it's not actually going to happen. Another recent update that I would like to talk about from INZ is also regarding the allowance for the entry of about 250 students who held a visa or presently hold a visa to study either a PhD or master's level course in New Zealand, but were unable to travel due to the border restrictions. Now, this is the first kind of exception category that has come up with respect to the international students. So while I know it doesn't include a lot of people in it, it's still a welcoming sign after months of silence around the prospects of international students. So I would consider this as a positive sign of the fact that they do. The government of New Zealand does understand that it is important to keep bringing in students in because they will also ultimately contribute to becoming skilled migrants in the future. So they are slowly kind of opening up the borders for them or gradually making allowances. However, there is still no confirmation about the Feb intake. But you can definitely look at the July intake because I do believe that borders should hopefully open up by then. In which case, it's best to lodge your application, at least 4 months prior to the course start date, so we can most definitely start working on your application, for the July intake, if not the Feb. So I would ask you to once again leave your contact details so we can get in touch with you. Thank you. All right, Adish has written, if I wish to go for a level 9 master's course, then can my wife also study there? Adish, Yes, of course, she can study, but she will have to apply for a student visa on her own rights. On She will be eligible for a partnership. She's likely to be eligible for a partnership-based work visa, and on that she can only study for, I think, up to 3 months and not more than that. So she won't be able to do a full-fledged course. So if she's interested in studying, then she will have to apply as an international student herself as well. All right. If you want to understand these policies more, because I do get that it can be a little bit complex and convoluted, it would be great if you could leave your contact details so we can discuss this further with you. Thank you. All right, we have a message from Aditi who has written, how do I figure out working in New Zealand without studying there? I have around 4 years of work experience in sales, BD in India. All right, thanks Aditi for joining the live session today and for asking this question as well, because it's a question that comes to us pretty often from a lot of our clients. They're keen to know how to go into New Zealand and directly start working without having to go by the study route. Now, the thing about that is that it's not very easy to obtain a job offer from New Zealand if you're not already based in the country. And this is only because employers tend to give a preference to people who are present in the country and already have valid work rights, because it's a lot easier to take them on and employ them rather than spending a lot of time, money, and investment in supporting a work visa application for a migrant, which, after months of processing, you don't even know if it will have a positive outcome or not. There are also a lot of checks that take place, for the employer. The employer also has to meet the labor market test, where they will need to show that they've, advertised the role to New Zealanders before offering the job to a migrant. So they may also not have had the chance to personally interview that migrant. So, there are a number of factors that kind of prevent employers from offering jobs to people outside of the country, unless, of course, you have some really specialized skills, or of course, if you have some contacts in the country, then you might be able to get yourself a job offer. But other than that, it's difficult. And the unfortunate part is that in order to apply for a work visa, for most work visa categories, you will require a job offer. All right. So it's a bit of a catch-22 situation. And that is the reason why people start looking at the other option then, which is the study and settle pathway, wherein you pursue a course from New Zealand, preferably a master's level course, and post completion of that course you will get a 3-year post study work visa, which I think is a fabulous deal, and it's a really long duration and will allow you to find yourself skilled employment in that time and also apply for a residency. So it is the fastest and most effective way of ultimately applying for a residency. So if that's something that you are interested in, if you think you'd like to upskill yourself, and of course you will have to just invest some funds into the tuition fees, etc. But once you've done that, you have a lot of opportunities available to you post your studies. All right. So I hope I was able to answer your question. It would be great if you could leave your number, Aditi, so that we can get in touch with you. Thank you. All right, Jagpal has written, team, can you please confirm if Jagpal is our client? Jagpal has written that I've got my AIP in March 2019 for level 7 course and waiting for the border to open. What would be the hope? Jagpal, as of now, I think we will have to continue to wait and see what the government decides for international students. Like I just mentioned, that they have made an allowance right now for about 250 students who held a visa, and who were pursuing a master's course or a PhD course to come into the country and study. So that's a good sign. At least, they finally addressed something on the international student front. So I would just recommend that you stay in touch with us, hopefully, and we will keep updating you as and when we get the updates on our end as well. Thank you. Adish has sent his number. Thank you so much for that, Adish. We will connect with you shortly. Bikramjeet has written, while being on a contractual job 1 year in New Zealand, can I apply for PR or need to get permanent job first? Bikramjeet, first of all, I would love for you to leave your number so that we can guide you on this. There are some provisions for people who have a contractual job to also apply for a residence visa under the skilled migrant category. However, these do have their sub clauses attached, and it would be great if we could also take a look at the job offer that you do hold so that we can guide you appropriately. So I would recommend that you leave your number, and then we will most definitely be able to assist you with your query. Thank you. Thelina has written, any chance to change immigration visa conditions if you're unable to finish level 7, 8 in before 2021 December? All right, Thelina, thank you for your query. So with regards to the post-study work visa policies, again, you've not left your number, so I would recommend you to leave your number. But I will answer your question. So with regards to the post-study work visa policies, if you pursue a level 8 or above course, you will get a 3-year post-study work visa. That condition of completing your course before December 2021 does not exist. But yes, for a graduate diploma level 7, you will only get a 2 years post-study work visa if you have completed your course outside of Auckland and prior to December 31st December 2021. All right, otherwise it will be a year. So it depends on when you lodge your application. So those instructions will be applicable to you. As of now, there has been no change to any of these instructions. All right. I hope I was able to answer your question, and it would be great if you could also leave your number so that we can perhaps talk in more detail about what exactly is the situation in your case. Thank you. Aditi has written, thanks so much. If I do pursue a course, will I have to start over in terms of job positions? Aditi, thanks a lot for your query, and it's a very valid question that you've asked here. Given that you do have some work experience, it's not like it'll be completely disregarded. Of course, it will be taken into consideration. But yes, if you're expecting to straight away, off the bat, get a managerial level position, that may not happen, and you might have to work a little bit towards it. But you can definitely get, executive level positions that will allow you to also apply for your residency. So that won't be a problem at all. Yeah, so I hope that was able to answer your question. And thank you so much for leaving your number. We will connect with you. It seems like, you might be interested in the study and settle pathway. So we will definitely connect with you and discuss with you a little bit more about that. Thank you. All right, so we do have another query from Arun Kumar Goyal, who has written that my son is now pursuing the online course with Up Education when they can allow in-campus classes. So Arun Kumar, thank you so much for your query. And the in-campus, on-campus classes entirely depends on when the government decides to ultimately open the borders for all the students. Until then, they will have to just, wait it out. Please do remember, people who are planning to pursue their, part of their course online, that they will still have to pursue at least 30 weeks of their course in New Zealand and on campus in order to avail the post-study work visa. However, those of you who are keen to pursue a part of your course online, I would highly recommend it. We've got some really amazing reviews from a lot of our clients who have, started this whole online to on-campus, pathway of learning. All right. Essentially, the college will perhaps give you 1 or 2 subjects to pursue online. All right. So if you're just sitting at home, you have time on your hands, you're not really doing much, or even if you're working, you can simultaneously pursue a part of your course, and then you can pursue the remaining part of your course once the borders open. All right. That will also mean that you'll be saving on a lot of living expenses, because you'll have to your student visa will be for a shorter duration, so automatically the living expenses that you'll have to show with your application will also reduce. Plus, colleges are also offering discounts, major discounts to people who want to go forward with this method of learning. So if any of you is interested in starting some part of your studies online, please connect with us. We will be happy to assist you. You also do not need to hold a visa. You will just have to pay a portion of the fees, and you'll be able to immediately enroll yourself. Like I said, for people who are working, you can even do it simultaneously. You don't have to really leave your job, and you can study simultaneously. So I think it's a very beneficial deal. So those of you who might be interested in this, definitely connect with us, and we'll guide you further on that. Thank you. All right, Aditi has written, thank you. Aditi, you're most welcome, and thank you so much for joining the session. And we hope that you become our client soon as well. All right, so Priyanka has written, when will New Zealand open international borders for a master's course? Priyanka, so as of now, again, there is no news about those who are, who haven't started, who haven't obtained a visa yet, or who haven't started their studies when the borders will open. We are hopeful that the government will give us this information shortly. All right, and as soon as we have that information, we are most definitely going to declare it on our on our web pages, and of course have a live session all about it. So you will hear from us about that as and when it happens. Uh, Shalmali has written, I am in New Zealand currently on a student visa level 8, which is to be completed in 2020, looking for a partnership visa for my partner. Shalmali, thank you so much for connecting with us. We will be more than happy to assist you with your partnership application. If you could leave your number, that would be great, so that we can connect with you post this session. So I would just recommend you to leave your number, and then we can have a chat about it. All right, because essentially, you will also be graduating onto your post-study work visa, which means your partner can also come in on a work visa. So that shouldn't be a problem at all. Just leave your number so that we can connect with you post the session. Thank you. George Jeevan has written, how much time immigration takes for visa after case officers allocation. Jyot Jeevan, thank you so much for coming into the live session and for even pasting your query there. The processing time frame can differ for different visa categories. So I'm not sure which visa category you're really talking about. But the processing time frame can completely differ. For a residence application, it may take about 14 to 18 months. For a work visa, essential skills application, it may take about 4 to 5 months. For a student visa, it may take 2 or 3 months. So it really depends on the on which visa category you're talking about, and also, of course, the backlog situation. As of now, the immigration office in India is still closed. All right. So it's only the offices in New Zealand that are open and processing applications. The one in India is still closed as of now. So Bikramjeet has written, completed level 8 and got 3 years post-study visa. What if I apply for a level 9 after 3 years of post-study visa? Will I get the 3 years post-study visa again after completion of the course or not? Please suggest. I've shared my number already. Thanks, Bikramjeet. So yes, if you do apply for a higher level course, then you should be eligible for a further post-study work visa. So if you've shared your number, we will connect with you and provide you with more information about that. And we'll also be happy to assist you with your student visa process. Thank you for joining in the session. All right, let me just quickly see if my team has any inputs. Okay, doesn't seem to be so. All right. The next question is from Srijit, who has written, I got my AIP in Feb. I think, Srijit, did I not answer your question already? Okay, anyway. You've written, I got my AIP in Feb 2020. When can I expect to join the class? The answer to that is pretty much the same thing. Whenever the borders open, whenever we get news about that, that's when you can start prepping for entering New Zealand ultimately. And of course, you will need your AIP to be converted to an e-visa as well in order to finally enter New Zealand. However, if you have lodged your application, if your application is still sitting with Immigration New Zealand, if you're in need for a representative such as us, we will be happy to represent you even at this point. So if you can just let us know your contact details so we can connect with you and tell you exactly how to proceed. All right, we have another question from Sivan who's written, hello ma'am. After we complete our courses, will AJV guide us for getting jobs? Hi, Sivan. Thank you so much for your question. While we do not give formal assistance with respect to jobs, we do provide a lot of informal assistance. We can help you out in preparing your CV. We can also help out with giving references. We also have an AJV clients only group where we keep sharing and listing out vacancies that are posted by different employers in the country. It's also a great way to connect with other AJV clients who are probably, most of them are working now or are even citizens and residents. So it's a great way to network as well. So that's a brief of the kind of assistance that we do provide with respect to the jobs. All right. Okay, Jyoth Jeevan has written asking for short-term student visa. Jyoth Jeevan, if you're asking for a student visa, then like I said, it's about 2 to 3 months that, usually the processing time frame. However, it can entirely vary depending upon, the backlog situation, etc. as well. Okay, it seems like I may not be getting all of the I'm not able to see all of the comments that are being posted. Anyways, whatever I can see, I will answer. Um, okay, just a second. So it seems we had a question from Jeremiah, which I cannot see on my page, which said, "Can foreigners apply for teaching jobs in New Zealand?" Yes, Jeremiah, you can. However, you do need to be registered with the Teaching Council of New Zealand in order to work as a teacher in the country. All right. So that registration process can be a little complicated. So the best way to go about it is to, pursue a course in New Zealand, such as a GD or a master's in teaching, which leads to registration automatically, and that will just allow you then to, work as a teacher in New Zealand. Again, the profession of teachers are in demand in the country. They do fall under the regional skill shortage list. So, and that includes teachers, who probably like primary, secondary, and even tertiary level teachers, like, university lecturers. They're all included in the regional skill shortage list. And there is a high demand for teachers, specifically in Auckland, and specifically for, who teach in the maths and science subjects. So there is great scope for teachers in New Zealand. However, the best way to go about it is if you were to pursue a course in New Zealand, which then leads to registration. So if you are interested in that, you can most definitely let us know, and we will be happy to help you out. All right. I'm just flipping over to YouTube because I kind of ignored that. Okay, that's where Jeremiah's message is as well. All right. So we do have another message from Thanga Sami, who's written, "Please provide your contact number to have your queries answered." Okay, to have your queries answered. Just a second. So, we have our toll-free New Zealand number, which is 0800 Our toll-free India number is 1800 103 6525. You can also go to our website, www.agvglobal.com, wherein you will find, the contact details of all our team members, including myself. You can also find my contact details on the Immigration Advisors Authority website, so you can check that out too. All right. Okay, flipping back to Facebook. So we have a question from Hardik saying, when will the New Zealand when will New Zealand open borders for students? Hardik, that very same question is on all of our minds right now. We are hopeful that they'll open it up sooner rather than later because the revenue generated from international students is very crucial to the growth of New Zealand's economy as a whole. And of course, a lot of them end up applying for the skilled migrant visa, so they the country really does need skilled migrants as well. So it is not feasible for them technically to keep the borders closed for too long. So we are very hopeful that they will open up the borders sooner rather than later, and you will hear from us when that happens. Hardik, it would be great if you could leave your contact details as well so we can get in touch with you. Vishnu Venugopal, what all documents are required for the partner to apply for spouse visa? Vishnu, for that you will have to speak with us first and also sign up with us so that we can guide you on the documentation. These are very detailed aspects, of a case. In fact, once you do sign up with us, we ourselves will be sharing a checklist with you, which has been curated by our organization, which details all of the documents that are required in order to apply for the partner visa. So if you are interested in applying for a partner visa, I would request you to leave your number. We will connect with you, and then once we've started the process, we will be able to guide you on the documentation. All right. I have, however, in this session spoken briefly about the kind of things that immigration officers look at when they are assessing a partnership application. So you can definitely, watch the session from the start if you missed part of it. Other than that, for the documentation, you will have to engage our services, and then we will be more than happy to assist you. All right. Thank you so much. Priya Kashkari has written, hello, my student visa application is applied in August for the March 2021 intake. By when can I get an update from immigration regarding my visa processing? Thank you. All right. Priya, thank you so much for your question. Good to know that you've lodged your student visa application, but your visa application is applied in August for the March 2021 intake. Okay, all right. But when can I? Okay. So I don't think, Priya, that you've applied through us. Team, if you can please confirm if Priya is our client. But Priya, if you've not applied to us and if you would like us to be your representatives, please do leave your number so we can assist you with that. All right. And like I just mentioned, and I have been mentioning, we do not really have an update yet on whether or not the borders are opening for Feb. All right, so that's something that we still need complete clarity on. But once we do have that information, we will most definitely share that with you so that you can plan your next course of action as well. All right, thank you so much. All right, let's see if there are any more questions. Satinder, I would request you to first leave your number so that I can answer your question. So please, if you could leave your number, and then I will be happy to assist. All right. So looks like we do not have any more questions. Guys, just to kind of go over everything again, those of you who want to join your partners in New Zealand, where the partners are already in New Zealand on a work visa, a visitor visa, student visa, or even their residence visa, please do get in touch with us because we excel in this space. We have 100% approval rate for partnership applications. All right. So it would be a great opportunity for you to avail our services and to use this time in working on the documentation aspect, which can be very time consuming. So if you are interested in that, then please do let us know, and we will be happy to provide all of our services. We also do have consultations, which are one-on-one discussions. There is no time limit to it either. There are one-on-one discussions with licensed immigration advisors where we will be explaining all the different possible pathways to migration that are available to you, suitable to your specific profile. We can even do a points assessment for the skilled migrant category visa, which once again is a popular visa category. All right. So if you are interested in that, then please do connect with us, leave your number, or go to our website and book a consultation with us. We also do provide assistance on the migrant investment and the business visa categories. So if you're interested in investing in New Zealand, or you're interested in setting up a business in New Zealand and have, at least 100,000 New Zealand dollars worth of funds, then you can most definitely connect with us, and you will be guided by none other than the CEO and director of our company himself, Arun Jacob, who is an entrepreneur himself and a very successful one. He's been running his own business, of course, AGV Global in New Zealand very successfully. So he is the one who will be guiding you on these visa categories. And with a plethora of experience behind him, I'm sure you'll get amazing advice around that. So if those are some visa categories that interest you, then please feel free to connect with us. Thank you. All right. We have, okay, so Satinder, you did not leave your number. However, I will anyway. So you've written how long INZ will take for New Zealand citizens partner resident visa. So I think that could take, about 9 to 12 months at least. But that I will have to cross check that from the Immigration New Zealand website. All right. And anyways, I would request you to leave your number so that, we can connect with you. All right. So we have a question from Mandy. Mandy, could you please leave your number so that we can talk to you a little bit more about your partnership application? However, you have written, do I have to pursue a master's to get a spouse visa? Can I do a PG diploma and request a spouse visa? For that, Mandy, if you are pursuing a PG diploma, the only way that you can get a spouse on a work visa. So in both cases, you can get your spouse to come in. The difference is in whether or not your spouse will get work rights. So if you do pursue a course which is at level 9 or 10, then you can bring your spouse in and they will be getting a work visa, an open work visa, which will essentially allow them to work for any employer in any location and in any role, which is great. Um, if you don't do that, then, and if you go for a PG level course, then your qualification must fall under the long-term skill shortage list in order for you to bring in your spouse on a work visa. All right. So if it doesn't fall under the LTSSL, your PG course, then you'll only be able to bring your spouse in on a visitor visa and not a work visa. All right. So I hope that I was able to clarify the question there. Thanks a lot. All right, and we do have a question from Vishnu Venugopal, who's written whether Masters in Mechatronics has scope in New Zealand. Vishnu, yes, it does have good scope. New Zealand does have automation, robotics, and mechatronics, and all related subjects in the future growth area. So there are an abundance of opportunities for you if you are keen in this field. All right. Thank you so much for your queries, and it would also be great if you could leave your numbers. Another question from Ashirvada De Silva. Hi, what is the present situation in New Zealand for international students? Ashirvada, I have gone over that multiple times during the session, but I do understand that it's a question that most of you have in your minds right now. As of now, the borders are still not open for international students. They are only making an allowance for, some about 250 students who either held a student visa or are currently holding a student visa and were not able to travel into the country due to the pandemic. So if you feel that is applicable to you, then please leave your number so we can get in touch with you and guide you on how you should go about it. All right. So I guess that brings me to the end of this session because there don't seem to be any more questions. Vishnu has written, thank you. Vishnu, you're most welcome, but please, it would be great. And I would truly appreciate it if you could leave your number so we can contact you, once the session is over. If you could do that, I would be highly obliged. So guys, I'm going to wrap up this session then today. And I hope you all found the session informative. And we will get in touch with those of you who left their numbers for sure, so that we can take the process further. And until then, you will be seeing us again next week around the same time on Thursday. So stay tuned for that. Thanks a lot for attending this live session. Have a great evening.